Miles, man, I appreciate you, brother, for pulling up again. I had to contact you, bro, for a much needed part two. Because man,
Oh,
that first conversation in the comments, it had people talking. On social media, had people talking. You know, it'll be like certain days I'm scrolling on IG, TikTok. I see some of the clips circulating, all that good stuff, man. So I just want to just commend you first off, bro, for sharing much needed information because everything that you've done, everything that you're currently doing, it is much needed. So, you know, from seeing all the documents that you sent me the first time, but bro, the second time, I'm super excited. I was like nerding out when I was reading everything over the maps, over the stones, Hopewell, Ohio Valley civilization, all these things, man. And I think it's about to be a really dope discussion. So I appreciate you, brother, for
for sure,
starting
for
this thing
sure.
off. Yes,
Glad
sir.
to be back, man.
Yes,
Continue the
sir.
conversation.
Yes, sir. Hey, let's do this, man. So, everybody in the comments, you know, make sure to show Miles some love. And then as well, man, tap in with him too because he has a lot of great information. So, starting off though, Miles, it was one thing that really caught my eye, man, and it was Hopewell, Ohio Valley pilgrimage that people that they would take, right? So people always talk about Mecca, you know, of Islam, of people they would go to Mecca, take that Hajj, but it's like we had similar things going on here in the ancient Americas and reading that article, I was truly fascinated. Warren K. Moorhead, I believe, from seeing what he was able to find and quote unquote discover. What exactly was going on in the Ohio Valley civilization, and especially when it comes to Hopewell?
Yeah, so it seemed like Hopewell, as far as you have Hopewell, you have Cahokia, you have Moundville, you have Spyro.
Mm,
It seems like these locations are destinations for pilgrimage and homages that certain people are taking from different communities.
mm,
So like we were talking about the Southeastern Ceremonial Complex. This is pretty much like a system, a belief system that is widespread across the Mississippi Valley, the Ohio River Valley, you know,
exactly.
um, and it's a connected, unified practice that's going
Hmm.
on. So there's gaps in the information when you go into the archaeology, as far as the reason why these people are taking these homages. Like that is not necessarily known for a fact, like the reason why. We know it's a spiritual purpose.
Yeah.
The people that's in this field know that these are like sacred objects that they're taking to these particular locations.
Hmm.
And but the information is not totally released out there as to why they were doing this, and I
Exactly.
think that is kind of like there's a reason to that why that information is not necessarily out there, but there all the different objects, the symbolism that we find throughout the excavations.
Hmm.
um it gives us a good idea that everyone is pretty much practicing the same type of religious system or belief system, you know what I'm saying? So that's pretty much what you find when you look at the artifacts.
Yeah.
uh but yeah, I mean, I hope that answered the question
For
a little
sure.
bit.
For sure, man. And again, speaking on those findings, right, from being able to check out all the documents, and I know you might not be able to see this, so if you can't, let's say you cannot minimize somewhere. Okay, cool. So I don't think it's going to allow us to minimize this, but however, post edits, I'll make sure to show all that good stuff. But
Okay,
seeing,
bet.
man, from all the documents, you see things like what people know as a swastika, right? Where people think about Germany, but then not understanding you see the same things in Ethiopia, which is where they actually got those things from. And then also, but you also see it in ancient America. And from seeing those artifacts that Moorhead he was able to find, and it's like we had all these things in America. How connected were we with people from the other side of the ocean as well, from seeing all of those artifacts?
You know what, it's difficult to talk about that if we're not focusing on a specific timeline,
Exactly.
because traveling back and forth may have taken place further back than we know. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Or the further back than we think.
Yep.
And then more so like in medieval times, like in common era, like anywhere from 1000 AD to 1300, 1500,
Mm-hmm.
1600, all of that vast traveling probably wasn't taking place.
Mm.
But what we do know is that when we look at the sites that we have in North America, like for example, Watson Break or Poverty Point or something like that, these locations are thousands of years older than these other known sites across the
Yes.
world, across the
Yes.
planet, you know what I'm saying, on the
Yes.
eastern side of the world. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? So if you look at places like um uh Watson Break, it's 3500 BC. You know,
Mm.
this is 1,000 years older than the oldest pyramid that's in
Exactly.
Egypt. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? So just think about that. Like, 1,000 years. You know what I'm saying?
That's a long
Older.
time.
So what was happening was, it seems as though we set up a real solid foundation over here in terms
Mm.
of like civilization and society, and
Mm-hmm.
then maybe started traveling out, branching out with our
Mm. I
seafaring
see.
capabilities, you know what I'm
Yep.
saying? And taking information such as like mathematical and building information, because we
Mm.
see like certain structures um all across the world, you know what I'm saying? The same mathematics that apply to stone buildings, stone
Yeah.
buildings, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Building that. We see that same type of information that's like traveling from over here to over there, and the same symbolism
Mm-hmm.
traveling over here to over there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about us is that you may see the swastika across over in Ethiopia, or you may see it somewhere else, but the spiritual system that was connected to that here is
Yeah.
probably totally different than the understanding that's on the eastern side of the world.
Mm.
You know what I
For
mean?
sure.
So yeah, that the spiritual system of the Mississippians, in particular, when we talk about the Mississippians, we talking about the Creeks, the Cherokees, the
Yep.
Choctaws. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? All these particular people that we hear about.
Nah, for sure, man. And on that point about spiritual systems, right? The article that you sent me, it was one about Hopewell again, and I think Stephen Nash. It was like one excerpt, man, in particular that it coincides, where it says that Bill's Mounds held a wonderful secret. These ancient people loved beautiful objects and had a deeply held aesthetic. And what we know from their objects is that these folks love to travel a lot, just like I do. Indeed, they must have journeyed all across North America, and that's why I feel like they are kindred spirits. So I think, man, commonly that people have this misnomer of thinking that ancient Mississippians are people who were indigenous on this side of the planet, stayed in one tiny little village, that they didn't explore, that they didn't move around, that they didn't exchange ideas, commerce, spiritual systems, all of those things. From reading that article about Hopewell, man, and seeing how we had people going all throughout the what we know now is like North America, US, even back then, pre-highway systems, all of that. How advanced were our people when it came to traveling all throughout what we know today as the United States of America?
Yeah, so that's a trip, man, because when we think about the Native American
Mm-hmm.
like concept, you
Yeah,
think of these primitive people that's not
exactly.
necessarily pilgrimaging. They
Yep.
not doing any of that high spiritual stuff. If they are, it's in a small group,
Mm-hmm.
a small camp of people
Yep.
that's living in the wilderness, that's chasing the buffalo or something like that.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
They don't got time to do all this extra stuff with
Yeah.
with they don't have the leisure time. You know what I
Mm.
mean? So that just shows you the pure separation in the people, the population. So that's like the whole point of this conversation really is
Mm.
to kind of hit on the fact that they're talking about two different groups of people.
Mm,
they had this one Native American group that they want to paint the picture as like this primitive group, but then
mm,
they have this high sophisticated society that's got this spiritual system that's connected along the riverways of the
right.
United States, and they practicing high society culture, got
Yep.
mining systems,
Yep.
got spiritual symbols, you know
Yep.
what I mean? And they're gifting it from one place to another, from one high chief to another.
Mm.
And it's just something that the Native American quote unquote that we all know and been taught about in the movies is that's not the history.
Nah, it's
You
complete
know what I'm
opposite.
saying? It's a complete opposite. You know what I mean? So that's just the trip part about it, to like hear that they're like rewriting history at that time, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
at that time they said that they are speaking to the Native American, but
Mm.
then they're writing about a Native American that supposedly no longer exists. You
Mm.
know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like they got this Native American that is in the woods, that
Yep.
is primitive, and
Mm-hmm.
then they have these group of Negroes that are now barbers and now, shoemakers
Yep.
and stone workers, you know what I'm saying, that they're not referring to as Indian no more.
Mm.
So that those people that they not referring to as the Indian no more is connected to have been disconnected from that group that they're writing about. You know what I mean?
Mm.
If that
Yeah.
make any sense. I don't know if I articulated that right,
Not for sure.
but yeah, I mean it's just a trip when you go and see how they're talking about these travels that these people are taking, and super religious type, spiritual type system of travel and trade, and it's just totally separate from everything that we know that's to be a Native American, you know what I mean? So
Exactly. Exactly, man. And stonework too. You saying that, that's perfect timing because seeing pictures of Satriona that you had sent, and I'm like, okay, in this picture, he's showing Europeans. Here's our stonework. Here's our spiritual systems, how we pray, all of these things, and seeing
mhm.
those objects that they would pray to, and then seeing how things it was made out of stone. When it comes to our people during those times, how advanced were they, man, when it came to masonry, stonework, and things of that sort?
Right. So man, that's like, it's an exciting thing to talk about, really, when
Yeah.
we had the images in front of us, when we're able to see like what they really laid out,
Mhm.
because the stonework that's being laid out here, it's like surpassing everything really that we've looked at in other parts of the world.
Exactly.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean? So they're laying stones the way other people are not laying stones. They're having like tombs that are dome tombs where they're incorporating stone, they're incorporating clay, other
Mm.
forms of soil, you know, and as far as building like these old masonry buildings that we see, that we kind of give credit to like other foreigners for building, but it seems like we just had the top information when it came down to manufacturing just things, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Whether it was jewelry or whether it was stonework and buildings. From Arnaldus, Montana. So a lot of people who want to like who want to go against the grain will say, "Oh, he never been to America, or he never even set foot in America." You know what I'm saying? But he's using images that are circulating through the community, like
Wow.
so we know that Theodore DeBry has that book Discovering the New World, and
Mhm.
he took pictures from Jacques Lemon. Jacques Lemon was the Frenchman that came over here with John Rabot and all those guys, and they met
Wow.
up with Satriana. Okay,
Mhm.
so he was the first one, like really, that really had the first eyewitness accounts. So
Wow.
he drew up Satriana, he drew up Satriana's military, he drew
Mm.
up the different garments that the different ranking systems wore, whether you was a soldier or you was like a captain or a general or a
Wow.
magician, whatever. You know, he documented all those different costumes. So Arnaldus Montanus probably never went there to actual Florida or Virginia
Mm,
or anywhere in North America, but he had information on what was out there about what these people look like.
mm,
So he's hearing different information through whatever context he got on, and he's drawing out these different scenes that may or may not have come in different versions prior to him, and
wow.
previous to him. So if you just look around the room, right, this is supposed to be a palace in Mexico. Now if you scan the room, we kind of take a look at who up in here.
I see
So
a headdress right here.
you see the headdress right over
Yeah.
there. You
Yep.
see this right here is supposed to be Peru, because
Wow.
there's many
Ah.
different pages that's in this book where this engraving came out of,
Mm,
and they have a specific engraving where it's Peru is the header, and they
wow.
have these people right here with these like turban kind of
Yep.
headdresses on with
Yep.
these kind of gowns. They
Yep.
have them documented as Peruvian
Mm.
culture. Now, if you take a look and right across over their shoulder, go back to your right side, go
Oh yeah,
go
right
zoom
over
in a
here.
little bit,
Yep.
look at the bird head.
Yep. There you go. You right.
Now look at
You
the
right.
chest plates.
Yep.
This is a dress that is straight up out of the United States geographical location. Okay, this
Mm.
is what you see the one of Saturnione's advisors wearing.
Wow. Wow.
So if we just take a look at if we look up Saturnion real quick,
Mm-hmm. For sure.
just remember that headdress with the bird on it, right? So Theodore DeBry, you could type in Theodore DeBry and yeah, just see what come up with Theodore DeBry. Go to his images. Okay, we're gonna go to scroll down just a little bit. Right there. Florida memory. Go to Florida memory.
Florida memory. Is that to my left?
Go it's right in the center.
Right in the center.
Right there. Boom. Right there. Now this is Satriana. This comes out of, so this is just a random
Oh, it's a whole
uh
article. Let me go back to the image.
yeah. So Florida memory.com, and this is boom. So this comes out of Theodore DeBry's book. This is Jacques
Mm.
Lamont's engraving. That's Satriona in the middle. And to the
Wow.
right of him is one of his advisors, one of his captains, one of his sergeants, generals, whatever. But look at the headdress. This is the bird hairdress with the same, look at the weapon that he's carrying.
Yeah, it's a
It's
club.
the same weapon. He has the
Yep.
same chest plate. If we go back to that drawing by Arnaldus Montanus, this is a meeting in Mexico City where that dude is from Florida. That dude is from Florida. But when we look at this, they in Mexico City in a plaza having a meeting,
Wow.
and you see my man over here with the headdress, with the chest plates, with the same weaponry. And we know that they from Florida. We know that those guys with the turban
Mm.
gowns on is from Peru.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And then you have to wonder why they all practicing the same type of religious system, why they all
Mm.
have the same type of mathematics when it comes to laying stone buildings down. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? You see the swastika in Mexico, you see the swastika in southeast, United States. You seeing it all over the place. We got the
Wow.
same religious customs. We got the same um mathematical systems, you know, and our same art. It's just a trip, man. It's just a trip to see that actually. Like, wow,
Man,
like that
Miles.
headdress.
Yo, it's crazy, bro, because man, again, I'm just happy. Let me actually switch screens right now. Get this going. Yes, perfect. I'm just glad that we were able to pull up all of these images because now being able to see this, break it down properly, bro, it's nothing like seeing it. And man, that headdress, right? Oftentimes we'll try to associate that with the Moors, but I get it. It was Moors over here in America too. However, though, when you had shot me that text a few weeks back about Peru, and you were able to send me certain images and articles, things like that, I would hear people constantly talking about Peru all the time when it comes to ancient America. But now seeing
Mm.
that we had people with similar phenotypes, just like me and you, who had darker hue skin, even wearing turbans. Miles, what was going on in ancient Peru? Because European scholars are obsessed with Peru. Sometimes we get focused about Africa, we get focused about Kemet, but we don't get focused about what's right underneath our feet. And these archaeologists are up and down in Peru. So, what was going on spiritually in Peru during this time?
Yeah, so when we look at Peru, the stonework is magnificent. It's
Mm-hmm.
just I like when you know how they have the list of like the eight wonders of the world and all
Yep.
that. It's like, damn, really, eight of them could have been really in
Already there,
Peru. It's
for
like
sure.
already, we could have just listed the first eight and then had to find another eight.
For
You know what I
sure.
mean? Or the seven wonders, however many they got listed. But Peru was just super advanced when it came to mathematical knowledge and
Mm,
building.
mm,
We all were kind of when you go from, Southeast United States all the way down Mexico to South America. But when we look at the architecture, it's
hmm.
just we don't really find like the architecture that they was doing in North America.
Mm.
You know, they we do find great structures that are stone structures, but it just seemed like I don't know, that was really like something that was probably signature to them, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, would you say it's somewhat safe to say Peru was like a spiritual epicenter of the whole ancient American world, where people would probably go to tap in spiritually and things like that of that sort?
Yeah, I believe that there were many like what you would call it like checkpoints
Mm.
all over
Right, right,
the
right.
Americas where you probably just had to hit certain points to just
Yep.
finish your journey. You know
Mm.
what I mean? So it could have been like that, levels and degrees to it,
Yeah.
where you hit certain spots first and you couldn't go here until you went there. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It could have
Yeah.
been like that. That's all speculation, but just
Hmm.
seeing how many different religious centers there were with
Mm.
a collective items from different parts of the world, it
Yeah.
seemed like there were just various sites that people had to hit or
Sure.
wanted to hit just for whatever personal reasons they may have had or whatever organization or entity that they were a part of at the time. But if you just peep at the connection with us and them, still you remember that bird face
Hmm. Yep.
outside of the
Yep. I was just thinking
one
about
of their
that.
temples.
Yeah.
Man, that's like hitting on a whole different connection that we really
Mm.
gotta kind of dive into more as
Yeah.
well. Like I don't have all the answers on that, but it's just exciting
It
to
is.
see that connection in such a like real way. It's not even nothing that's speculation or anything like these. They're real like highlighted things that are happening in South America and Peru as well as over here. Like we have symbols that are the same as the symbols that they have.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's not really like happening nowhere in the world. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So
Yeah.
yeah, man, it's a trip to see that.
Yes. And Miles, man, from seeing all those images, again, the one that you had just shown with the headdress and them having a meeting, we're talking about Mexico, right, during that time. Man, what happened, Miles? Because this from seeing how advanced this was, it's like Wall Street almost back then of seeing people coming from different areas with different type of goods, textiles, resources, exchanging those ideas, spiritual systems, all these things are being shared in one space at one time. Satriona from last episode of us talking about how they had certain spiritual systems and buildings and temples that could hold thousands of people. And it's just
Yeah.
like what happened to now that our people think, oh, when we think about America and not even ancient America, we can't even fathom ancient America. We just think about people that were inside of teepees, and they just walked around naked all day, and that they had no type of civilization, that they were just savages. What happened? How we were that civilized, that advanced, to now it's just all depleted, and all this information is just hidden.
Well, really, man. the the a lot of things happen like politically. So, we it seemed like we still had our connection to the land here and being colored. Like when we were
Mm,
classified as colored, we had a
yeah.
different connection with our neighborhoods,
Yep.
with our community. You could go and ask somebody or see a little kid in the South and ask
Mm.
him who their daddy is or who your mama
Right.
is.
Right.
That's
Right.
the type of connection the community had back then. And
Right.
that's when we was classified as colored. And I feel like that's when we had more of a like an Indian kind of uh disposition to ourselves,
Hmm.
like with our connection. But it was a many attacks on us, what I mean, in terms of
Yeah.
politically. Like when they excavating Hopewell,
Mm.
this is the early, the United States is created in 1776. This is 18 whatever
Wow. Yep.
31.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're really trying to see all the stuff that's here, all the relics, all the artifacts, and all that stuff like that, and they are rewriting history. And at the
Yeah.
same time, they trying to give themselves more of an edge on being American. Like when we think of American today, you think of America is like
That's
white people
deep.
or whatever.
That's
You know,
deep.
you know
Yes.
what I'm saying?
It's
So
synonymous.
they just totally, yeah, they just
Yeah.
totally changed the face of it.
Yeah.
And then the America, the old America that we do know was supposedly just this slick-haired Indian
Yep.
that looked like he Asian
Yeah.
or like Hispanic. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
So, and when you got the ability to teach people's kids, where
Hmm.
they go, where you not, before back in the day, probably in the 30s and the 20s and stuff, you had the families are more at home. They're not
Right.
sending their kids off to be educated by
Right.
nobody. You working on the land or working a farm, you got chores around the house, you helping mom out or dad out or whatever. Dad is probably working, the mom is at the house, but
Yeah.
now, you know it's a whole curriculum that is based off miseducating,
Wow.
you know, the majority of people, us pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there are councils, textbook councils, you know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Textbook societies that
Mm.
review information
Yep.
and they decide on what's going to be disseminated to the greater population or mass population. You know what I'm saying? But behind
Mm.
these closed doors, where the people that are actually facilitating the excavations, they knowing what the real story is, they knowing what the real
Hmm.
information is,
That's
but
right.
it may not reach the light of day because the actual written story, the written narrative is going to be different than what they found. You know what I mean?
Facts.
So
Yep.
in the early days, in
Facts.
the late 1800s, you got the creation of the Smithsonian. They
Hmm.
collecting all this information.
Yep. Yep.
They're gathering all this information, and this
Yep.
is where they get in. They building off they building up their narrative on what the story is going to be. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because you got to think about it. These people have their own religion that they want to
Mm.
upheld, and they got
Yep.
their own cosmic, creative,
Yep.
cosmic stories or creation stories that their
Even
religion,
facts. Yep.
states, and they got to make sure that all this stuff that say that the story was different don't really reach out to the people like that, especially
Right.
to the people that it mean the most to, which is black people.
Mm.
So we got taught a whole different story and narrative on what actually happened. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, just really erased everything.
Yeah.
So now it's just really about making that connection. And really that's kind of like where, did you see that clip that I sent you with Alex Wagner? I believe that journalist from, I think it's
Yeah.
MSNBC, where
Yes.
she's
Yes.
interviewing one of the Florida teachers.
Yeah.
The Florida
Yep.
teacher is telling her,
Yes.
yo, the slaves didn't come from Africa. They wasn't the majority of the
He
slaves
said,
actually
what?
was born
Only I
here.
think 4%. Four
Right,
percent.
right. Like from
Yep.
small percentage,
Yep.
w- came here from Africa. So
Mm.
Alex Wagner, being a skilled journalist and
Mm.
able to flip
Yeah.
the language and make you see what she wants you to see. She didn't even focus on the fact that the teacher just said that the information is stating that the majority of slaves were born here. They
Mm.
wasn't trafficked over here. Alex
Mm.
Wagner was like, oh, just glossed over that and basically focused on saying that the statement was trying to just justify that slavery was okay in general. Like
Mm.
she didn't even focus on like, wait, hold on, you just said that the
Like, what'd you
majority of
just
the
say?
slaves were born here. You didn't.
Right,
We
right.
all thought that they all came from Africa. What do you mean?
Mm,
Like she jumped over it and made sure that the listener, just bypassed that and saw something different.
right.
So it's an attack on the people at all times,
Mm,
to hide this information or to manipulate it or to just, throw it under the rug or whatever. And that's kind of what we got to understand and know. You know what I mean? Like they knew about all these mounds before they knew
mm.
about King Tut.
That's right.
They discovered King Tut in 1922.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
discovered
Yeah, Howard
all
and them.
these
Yeah,
mounds, you know
that's
what I'm
right.
saying, in the 1800s out here.
That's an excellent point.
So yeah, it's just what something we gotta think about with that.
Yes, yes. And Miles, man, on that same standpoint, us talking about ancient America and us being indigenous to this land, it makes a lot of people uncomfortable. I saw this clip, man, recently on Bag Fuel. I think it's a great podcast, but it's a guy, Shampoo, he's an old head, but man, he was on there saying how his family, they're from here. And then him and the co-host, they was like going at it, and he was like, "So, where's your family from?" And he was like, "I ain't gonna lie, my grandma, she was Blackfoot." So it's like black people know these things, man, but we just got to tap into this history. And by you doing things like this, us having conversations such as these, exposing all this great information, man, it's needed. Something else too, man, that I think is going to make a lot of people uncomfortable too is the Bat Creek Stone, man. I'm gonna pull that up in a few seconds, but
Oh,
that's going to make people very uncomfortable because that
yeah,
uncovers so much that we've been taught when it comes to misinformation, because there's always been secrets about ancient Hebrew being found in America.
yeah,
But man, when you send me that article, that's not Miles saying this. This isn't me saying this. This isn't even your friend, your homeboy up the street saying this. These are
yeah,
other European archaeologists who are finding this information and exposing this, man. And it was confirmed. So again,
yeah,
man,
it
we
was.
we've heard theories about ancient Peru and Jerusalem, similar to Jerusalem. We've heard theories
Mm,
about again ancient spirituality, but seeing this, man, about hey, they were actually speaking Hebrew and they knew Hebrew and they were saying that they were of these people as well. That then proves that something was going on, Miles. Something was going
yeah,
on, bro. So how did
yeah.
they even have access to learn Hebrew? And were our people connected with other people of the East as well when it came to old and ancient spiritual systems?
Okay, cool. So let's get this understood like right away,
Yeah.
because when we think about them, when we think about the Mississippians learning Hebrew or like coming across Hebrew from some
Mm-hmm.
traveler that came from the
Mm-hmm.
east,
Mm-hmm.
this is what we got to understand, that the Hebrew that they found here is the oldest Hebrew.
Yeah. I read that. Yeah. It was
You
Paleo
feel me?
Hebrew. Yeah, it
It's,
was Paleo Hebrew. That's right.
which
That's
is which
crazy.
is really considered what they call it Phoenician.
Yep.
You know,
Exactly.
Paleo
Exactly.
Hebrew is Phoenician or
Yep.
whatever.
That's an excellent
So
point, Miles. You're right. You're right.
the oldest Hebrew come
You're
from
right.
here, and
You're right.
then all
You're
these
right.
different versions of Hebrew come after that. You feel me?
Mm.
So
Yeah.
what's interesting about it is that like I hit on a little bit earlier, they say that the Mississippians left no written record.
But that
You
right
know,
there is a written record right there that they had,
you
that they were talking
you
about. Yeah, you're right.
this is
You're right.
crazy.
It's a contradiction.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's a
Yeah.
contradiction because here we got various inscriptions, like
Mm,
various stones that have Hebrew on them, like
mm,
Proto Hebrew,
mm.
Paleo Hebrew, the oldest
Mhm.
form. We got all these stones, and we got the Ten Commandments, supposedly the Newark Holy Stones.
Wow.
You know what I mean? That have the Ten Commandments written on them, and then we got the Back Creek Stone has Judean written on them.
Yeah, it
You
does.
know, so it just seems like we may have other scripts that they
Mm,
have in the basement somewhere.
wow.
Because why
Yeah.
would you have the ability to fashion all these different forms of jewelry? You're able to lay out city blueprints, like with
Mm,
real bustling cities with like 30,000 population. You know what I
wow.
mean? You are aligning different buildings to astronomical events,
Mm,
to the equinox sunset, to the winter sunset. Like you're
mm,
able to do all this different stuff, but you didn't leave
wow,
no written history nowhere. But
wow.
you see writing in different places, but we ain't leave no written history. So apparently they don't want to show us that's like a full script, but
Oof.
I guess some made it through the cracks where, you know, dang, I
Yeah.
guess the person that found it, he didn't have the message, hey, like, yo, don't show this. You know what
Hey,
I'm
we
saying?
can't put this out. Nah,
Yeah, don't put
facts,
this out, bro.
facts.
So I don't really know. I'm not a theologian, so
Mm,
I don't know the biblical work, like the biblical history. I'm very knowledgeable of it, but I'm not gonna consider myself like a theologian or be able to tell you like the history of, and all these different like verses in the Bible or whatever. But I do know that Hebrew. What I'm gonna say is this. I know that we spoke and wrote Hebrew. So
mm,
there's documentation from various settlers and people that came here from Spain and the Netherlands or whatever that stated
yes,
that these people were speaking Hebrew, like
yes.
saying holy words, like
Yep,
hallelujah and stuff like
yep.
that, and had like Jewish practices. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? And so we know from firsthand accounts that people witness these people practicing Jewish customs, and then we have really old relics of Hebrew script written on
Yep.
stone. But I don't know how the Jesus story I don't think the Jesus story connects.
Mm,
I don't think that n- none of the religious systems that we
mm-hmm.
know today, that doesn't connect to that. I feel
Mm,
like in my own speculation, I feel like Hebrew was a language for us and a written script for us that
mm-hmm.
some for some reason the Eastern the Eastern religion of like Christianity and
Mm-hmm.
all of that wants that connection. They
Yeah.
want the Hebrew connection with their like narrative, like religious
Mm-hmm.
narrative. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know how it all connects. I don't know how Hebrew went over there, but I just know that we got the oldest, and
Mm.
that's kind of
Wow.
like really all I really need to know about that, because I'm just trying to connect that Hebrew to the old religious spiritual system that I know existed here. You know what I'm saying? I
Exactly.
don't think that Hebrew should be connected to like trying to figure out the Christianity
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
narrative, right?
No, for
Or
sure.
the Hebrew Israelite narrative. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying?
No, I
I think
understand that.
that we get lost when we like play into like Eastern hemisphere concepts.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah,
Nah, man, for sure. Because it's just like it's a whole nother thing. Because man, seeing that, I'm like, that kind of exposes a lot. You feel what I'm saying? So right now we're actually
right,
gonna pull up
right.
this article because that's so fascinating, man. So it was this one that you had sent. Tell me if you're able to see it. Are you able to see it right
Yeah,
now,
yeah,
Lewis?
definitely.
Perfect, perfect,
Yeah,
perfect. So the
definitely.
Bad Creek Stone was professionally excavated in 1889, rather, from an undisturbed burial mound in eastern Tennessee. So eastern Tennessee. So I'm in Georgia, so that's just a state up from me.
Yeah, it's
The director
right
of the
up the way.
project, Cyrus Thomas, initially declared that the curious inspection on the stone beyond question letters of the Cherokee alphabet. So that's what they thought. In the 1960s, Henry Mertz and Corey A.U. both noticed that the inscription, when inverted from Thomas's orientation to that of above paragraph, instead appeared to be ancient Semitic. Wow. Last Semitic languages scholar Cyrus Gordon confirmed that it is indeed Semitic and specifically, to your point, Paleo Hebrew of approximately the first to second century AD. According to him, the first five letters of the comma shaped word divider read from right to left or for Judea. So wow. So we're talking
Yeah.
about Eastern
So it could
Tennessee.
read Judea or Judean. Yeah,
Yes.
Eastern
Wow.
Tennessee,
Wow. Yeah.
and
For the
th-
Judeans. You're right. For the Judeans. Wow.
this is a trip because if you scroll up just a little bit,
Yeah.
that comma right there.
Yep. Right here.
No, go no over just
Oh,
so by the L, by the
oh,
it looked
here.
like an
Yes,
L
I
right
see.
there.
Yep.
They
I see.
didn't know that was anywhere else until they found the
Wow.
Dead Sea Scrolls.
Wow.
So, you know, it's just like we know it's not a fraud. This
Mm.
is not this is not nothing that was a hoax because how would you know to the comma is there? It can't be a hoax. You know what I'm saying? Like what great information did the hoaxer have to know like, oh yeah, I'm gonna put the comma in here. Nobody knows that the comma exists in
Yeah, you
this
can't deny
in
it.
the oldest form of it, you know?
Wow.
So yeah, it's just a trip, man.
Yeah, it's
Um
it's recently argued that the inspection. Yeah, so then you have other ones where it's saying holy to Yahweh, where again, to your
right,
point of speaking ancient Hebrew, we have all these things
right,
right here in the South, man. This is truly fascinating, y'all. Make sure to check this out. I'll make sure to have this link displayed below so y'all can check out some of these sources for yourself and read this, man. And to your
right.
point about
And
stone building, uh-huh.
the trip part about it is that I feel like the Hebrew Israelites will look at this and say that this was from Israel or like it, you know what I'm
Ah, I
saying?
see.
I don't
Yeah, I
know,
see.
like we have a hard time accepting the information because it really would help their argument. I
Yeah.
think,
Hey, Miles, that was the first thing, man. When I read that,
you
I was
know,
like, "Oh, this ties in perfectly with that." Yeah,
right, right.
yeah,
If you think that Israel is over here, but if
right.
you think that Israel is over there, and it's like it don't make no sense like that. You know what I
So I
mean?
think, man, according to Hebrew Israelites, man, is that I think the northern tribes, so it was 12 tribes, and that 10 of those tribes traveled to ancient America after the fall of Jerusalem, if I'm not mistaken, and that they moved over here and then carried on those same religious practices and things like that.
Right. But when you look at the
Timeline's off though.
groups,
Yeah,
the timeline is off because when
yeah,
you look at the
yeah.
groups, they say one of the tribes is like Puerto Ricans
Yeah, 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 yeah.
and
Yep, yep,
you know what
yep,
I'm saying?
yeah,
I'm like a
yeah,
Puerto
yeah.
Rican and
Yeah.
a Dominican
Yeah. Nah, nah.
that like
Listen, I
came
understand.
about in the
Yeah.
15 or the 1500s, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to bash on nobody. I'm just
Of
hoping
course.
everybody just find this information
Of
and
course.
really just open up to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, bro.
Because
Yes,
it's
man.
super like it's super something that we have not been exposed to. You know, and
Man,
it
I'm
kind of
telling you.
answer a lot of questions.
It does, bro, because it's like just from reading that, right, and seeing, oh, this is Eastern Tennessee. It's like, again, we have so many stories that's right below our feet that we have no idea about. And like what you said, when we have these people teaching us, they aren't going to tell us these things. We have these people doing excavations, all this stuff, like what you said, since the 1800s, and none of this information is being shared. You don't see these things at museums. You don't see any of these things, man. And I'm
Right.
just truly, truly fascinated. So, we got Paleo Hebrew, man. We talked about the Bat Creek Stone. Again, man, Hopewell, that piece of information, I'm just amazed by it because it's like we've had people traveling, and in that same piece, they were talking about our people traveling on canoes up the entire Mississippi River like a highway. What
Yeah.
was going on the ancient Mississippi River during those times of ancient America?
Right. So the the river must have been just like a highway system, you know, because a lot of the mounds were situated around the river. And then the mounds had satellite communities like around them as well. So the
Mm,
river just allowed for easy
yep.
navigation from one community to the next, you know, and
Mm,
we able to carry all inventory of whatever we needed. You
yes.
know, taking things from the storehouse to different communities or traveling and taking different goods and different like garbs and precious metals, you know, across the different communities. That particular river system was just vital for us. If we look at economics today, you know, if you look at just how trade is operated now, if you look at the Red Sea, if you look at any
Yep.
one of these particular waterways,
Yep.
you know, countries still use waterways as a like the blood, like the veins of economics. You know
These
what
are
I'm
facts.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's exactly what was going on, to my knowledge,
Yeah.
with the Mississippians and the different nations that made up, you know, that collective group.
Yes, sir. ancient Mississippian spirituality is something that just keeps fascinating me, man, because it's like we've been taught about either Christianity or before that, that ancient Americans, ancient Mississippians had no spiritual systems. From us being able to have this conversation, read these articles, present all of this information, talk about the mounds, all of that, they were so spiritually advanced. And it was one map, I had to find that map, but it had shown that in certain parts, certain people worship certain things more. So it was a part on the map you had
Mm.
sent where it was
Yeah, yeah,
Georgia.
I know what map you talk
Yeah,
about.
Georgia, it was like sun worship. Louisiana, it was like water worship. All of these things. Miles, if
Right.
if we were, I would probably say, let's say we were in Georgia, but ancient Mississippian times. Who and what would we be praying to during that time?
If you was in Georgia, okay, let me pull up that map right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Let me
It was very
see.
interesting.
Let me see. Pull that up real quick. Give me 1 second.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so in Georgia, it's looking like so it's safe for Georgia. I wish we could pull this up, but I'm gonna try to show. Um, I don't know. The
What's the
camera can't
source? I
see
can
that.
try to
Nah.
type that in online actually.
Oh
Let's
yeah,
see.
yeah,
Share
yeah. I'll give
screen.
you the source right now.
Okay.
Uh,
Let me
one
hit the share
second.
screen real quick.
Uh, 1 second. Give me 1 second,
Oh,
man.
you good.
Okay, here we go. The Mound Builders, Their Works and Relics. It's by Stephen D. Pete.
FNDP. All right.
So yeah, and they will have. We could go straight to it. Actually, it's gonna be page 18 when when you're able to pull up the.
Okay. Let's see. Travel.
So the
Eat.
Mound Builders, Their Works and Relics.
Got you.
Peet.
Got you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hold on.
Oh yeah,
And then I'm gonna change the name.
okay.
Yep. Cool.
And then yeah, so this book right here, if you just go straight to that, I think they'll have it on a preview version over here to your right where it say full
Oh,
book
I got you.
available.
Yep. Let me go
Yeah,
back. I
go to
got you.
page 18.
I'm gonna try to go to 18. See if they.
Okay.
So we're on 16. Yep. That's 18. Let me go back.
Oh, is that 18 right
Oh, yep.
there?
Yep. It went too fast. That's my bad. Yep.
Man, let me see. This is wait, hold on. We may have to go to the cuz it's a different image that they pulling up. They actually it should be oh go to the you see where you have page 18 and you have the plus or minus and then you have next to that you have the single double
Yeah.
and then go to the far right. Yeah.
Here.
Oh no, yeah, right there. There you go. Oh no, the it's all right there. There you go.
Yep. Thumbnail view.
Yeah, my bad.
There we go. No,
Okay,
you
so
good.
they should have if you scroll down a little bit, that
Hmm.
map should be in here. So keep scrolling, scroll.
Is it this
Keep
one right here?
scrolling.
Or further
Nah,
down?
it's not that one. It's coming up right there. So if you look,
Here. Right.
yeah, to your
Oh
left,
no, actually
right
is that
there.
one. Yep, I remember it. Yep.
Yeah.
There we
So we
go.
just pull this up right
Oh,
here. This
There we
is
go.
from Stephen D. This one from Stephen D. Pete, 1831. No, publication date is actually 1892. So this is the publisher, Chicago Office of American Antiquity. And we just look at what's going on across the landscape of Mississippi, what we should call Mississippi.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So if we just look at Georgia, where Georgia would be, we would look down and see that that's agriculturalists,
Yep.
sun and idol worship,
Yep.
pyramids, idols, portraits, pipes. You
Mm.
know what I mean? Like
That's
it's a
crazy.
connective thing that we all have specialized like signature things that we do that we partake in.
Yes.
And then we go and pay homage, and visit another high king that's in another realm or region where they do something else that's spectacular. You know what I mean? Beehive tombs, stone
Yep.
graves. You got the swamp dwellers, the water coat, large circles. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And it's magnificent. And this is all. And if we can we pull up that timeline
No, for
that
sure.
so that timeline is important because when we think about all this stuff that's going on, we are made aware of it through Saturniona, right? Which is 1562 Common Era. And then Saturniona is connected to this super ancient history that track all the way back 10,000, BC. You know what I mean?
Wow.
It's just it's and then you have like these stone maces like this
Right here. Yep.
that look kind of similar to onks and
Yeah.
I've seen a
Man, I
lot of
saw
them look
one.
like
Yeah,
onks.
exactly. I was gonna bring that up too. I gotta find that eventually. But yes, man, seeing that, like it's a lot of similarities, man. It's a
Yeah,
lot of
and these are the
similarities.
books that we want to, as a community, dive into. So anything that's being um brought to us by, let me see, I'm gonna pull out one right now, like this right here. I'm gonna show you. Oh sheesh. This right here. I'm
Pull it
gonna
up
pull
right
it
now.
out. Anything. So this is like. Then let me take this. Let me take this blur off. Maybe. Okay. Let me see. 1 second.
Hmm.
Okay. So when we just
There we
look
go.
at anything that's kind of made by the Smithsonian Institution, Bureau of American Ethnology, we need to be looking into that
Mm.
because they really are putting all of the excavation data into these books. They're not
Wow.
putting them into like these feel good books that the scholars are
Yep.
making for us. You know what I mean?
Yep.
We got to be looking here. Like
Mm.
this is the Indians of the southeastern United States. Okay, 77th Congress, 77th Congress up here. It's a very old book. It was let's see. Let's see. So this is 1946 right here. You know
Wow.
what I mean? An old copy. And if you look in the index, they're gonna be talking about Satriani in here. They got
Wow.
Satriani in the index. So Smithsonian Institution, you know what I mean? Super, like really old, like we were just looking at uh Cyrus Thomas, who was making a connection with the Cherokee
Hmm.
language and Hebrew. He has
Mm.
a book that's called Cherokee or Hebrew.
Wow.
Like that's the title of the book.
Wow.
And he's one of the actual people that are out there doing the field studies. This is
See,
another one. The problem of the
problem of the Ohio
Ohio
Mounds.
Mounds,
Wow.
Cyrus Thomas, 1849, 1889. You
Wow.
know, this is where they putting all that information. And the thing about it is you can actually buy old copies of these books.
And
So the
that's
information is
crazy,
available
man.
for us to get.
And bro, Miles, on that standpoint, right? Ohio Mounds, because all of that, man, it correlates perfectly. Because I was about to bleed into my very next question. What was so special about Ohio during that time period? Because of seeing things like Hopewell and seeing people make those pilgrimage and making exchanges and knowing during that time, and especially when Europeans tried to come in and take over, Ohio was a very, very important stronghold when it came to indigenous culture and civilization during that time period. Why was Ohio so important when it came to the mounds, spirituality, civilization, all of those factors?
Well, it was many different important spots, but the Ohio River, it has its own
Ah,
connecting
that's true.
arm too.
That's true. Yep, I didn't even think about
So
that.
yeah, so it's like I think that was a bit of a great deal of resource for those
Mm,
people that are in that community right then and there.
mhm.
And it seemed like at certain time periods, communities were more bustling than others.
Ah,
We
yeah,
may see like, if you just look at Los Angeles when it first was founded up until today, it's like
yeah,
wow, it's just multiplied however
yep,
many times over. So I
yep,
think when we looking back into the past too, we got to
mm.
kind of keep that into perspective as well. You know what I mean?
That's right. That's right. On that map, something else that was really, really dope was Louisiana area, talking about swamp dwellers. How did our people, man, survive when it came to swamps and things like that? Because till this day, you'll see crocodiles, you'll see gators, all that stuff. How did they not only survive back then, but thrive when it came to being in the swamps?
Right. So I mean, I'm thinking that's just ancient knowledge, being there for so
Facts.
long. Um, it's a lot of movies that highlight the Negro's ability to
Yep.
navigate the swamps in
Yep.
the Revolutionary War time
Yep.
period.
Yep. Yep.
Like the slaves, so quote
Yep.
unquote,
Yep.
really knew how to navigate the swamps and
That's a
hide
great point.
hide campfires.
That's a great
They
point.
knew how to fish in the
Yep.
swamp where
Yep.
you know that was treacherous territory for a
Mm.
European. They was like, we not going in the swamps.
Mm.
If the Brits are
Yep.
chasing somebody and they running into the swamps, well, they all right,
You
we
got
gonna
it.
get them when they come out. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Facts. Facts.
So it seemed like that was just ancient knowledge because fishing and and just being amongst nature just seemed like it was just something that didn't have to be taught, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And they just make it a constant thing, a constant like a point of highlight in the movies that people from Africa actually
Mm.
have the like a really sophisticated way of navigating these swamps.
Yeah.
So it seems like back then to see that something that they're studying that's happening way, way in the past
Mm.
is actually being classified as like swamp dwellers. And they got this whole
Mm.
system of, living in this
Yeah.
particular area. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Facts. And
So
Miles,
it's
man,
just,
you're not
then
lying
again, it's a information and a history and like a ancestry that we not broken off to,
at all.
or separated from. You know what I
At
mean?
all. Yeah. And bro, you were not lying because it's a film. Will Smith, he was in it. Emancipation. In the film, he was hiding in the
Mm,
swamps, so he knew how to
mm.
escape from the gators. He knew how to hide in the trees. All of those things. So, to your standpoint, that's exactly what you were just articulating. So it's crazy how everything always coincides. It's crazy.
And I was thinking about the movie The Patriot, and I
Oh
was
yeah,
thinking
that's
about
another one.
yeah, The Patriot and another one with Anthony, what's his name? McConaughey, Matthew McConaughey.
Matthew McConaughey. Yep.
He had a movie
Yeah,
where it
yeah.
was
His
about
last name it was Jones. I know exactly who you talk.
Jones.
Yeah, yep,
They
yep,
was in the swamps. The
yep.
the white
You're
lady,
right.
the white lady
You're
had
right.
a connect of
You're
black
right.
people runaways that was hiding in the swamp,
Yep.
and they took Matthew McConaughey over there with them, and they like
Yes.
plugged him, taught him how to fish, they taught him how to hide the
Excellent.
fires. They
Yes.
did everything. I'm like,
Yep.
how is this
It's right there.
slaves? You know what I'm saying? Supposed
Who
to know
know
this
who know how to
information.
live in a very treacherous environment like this, and you can go
Treacherous
to the
environment.
Great Dismal Swamps. That area, how our people they were able to hide in the swamps. John Horse, the
Hmm.
Seminoles. I mean, we could just keep going on and on and on. So
Exactly.
yes, man, you were
Exactly.
right on par. You were right on par with that. But knowing that, man, and then knowing too when it comes to, again, man, ancient Mississippian spirituality. How can we get back in tune with those things? Because, we know how to get in tune when it comes to Christianity, when it comes to every other form of spirituality. But then, how do we get back in tune when it comes to ancient Mississippian spirituality?
Yeah, I think we need to dive into the relics really,
Mm-hmm.
because if we look up the data that has been collected on the relics that they brought in and have on display, we need to make it a point at knowing where they're displaying this at. So just like how we visited that website that was speaking about Hopewell,
Yeah.
that's a lot of it's a great collection of spiritual relics.
Mm-hmm.
Like those are not just like watches and stuff
Mm-hmm.
that people found in the mounds. Like
Right.
they really had spiritual headdresses and garments and jewelry that
Yeah.
represented, something deeper
Yeah.
than just like surface level things, like,
Mm-hmm.
So I think looking at those particular sources of
Mm-hmm.
information, getting into this particular book right here speaks on the spirituality. I think everybody needs to grab this book. I think I spoke about it the last time, but this is like one of the main books that speak about the different birdmen and the different aspects. Oh,
Yeah.
this is kind of blurred out, but it's Hero Hawk and Open Hand.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that the
Mm-hmm.
last time, but we can definitely connect back with the culture by grabbing this particular book and
Mm-hmm.
then just learning about, you know, just everything that was going on in the past, connecting back with tobacco. That had
Mm.
its own spiritual connection.
Yeah.
And then just learning about the different gods and deities that the Mississippians um like created and left behind for us to go and research.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if we start wearing our symbols again,
That's a
we
big one.
start
Yeah.
tapping ourselves with the different
Yeah.
deities,
That's a big
we
one.
could connect ourselves back to
Yeah.
that. And we need to start looking at the home like this is homeland, because you know you'll feel deeper about the spirituality when you actually feel like you from the place where it was created.
Ooh,
You know what I'm
there we
saying?
go. There we go.
So
Yeah.
I just feel like, yeah, getting deeper into it like that is a way that we can all kind of like get back to the spiritual sense. We don't know for sure like what what the actual narrative is, because that just hasn't been released yet, but it's bits and pieces out there that let us know what path we need to be on. Like we can look at what is collected with the southeastern ceremonial complex religious system, and we can connect that with what's going on in Mexico, and connect that same narrative with what's going on and with the Incas down in South
Mhm.
America.
Mhm.
And yeah, just kind of take it back. Like with me, I try to wear the symbols.
Mm.
As much as I can, I'm gonna wear a Mississippian symbol before I wear anything else.
Wow.
And I just think that if I start there, and teach my offspring the same thing, we'll bring all
Oh,
the
you
symbols
sparked
back.
that. Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Mississippian symbols, man. If you got some on you, would you mind sharing it with us, man? So all the people, they'll know what to go out and buy and get and things like that and
Oh,
start
you talking
repping it.
about what I wear
Yeah,
specifically, or
yeah,
you
yeah,
talking about
yeah.
like, oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. If you got any on you right now,
So
I think it I think it just froze.
like
Hold on
the
one
what
second.
I wear specifically, and it's just was oh, did it?
Oh, I got it now. Yep, I can see.
Okay, cool. So I mean, this is the
Yep.
Mississippian symbol that I choose to wear for right now. And
Yep.
I believe it's be, a vortex type energy from the underworld that is a creator of the ability to see the various levels on this three-tier plane that we
Mm.
supposedly live in. It's just a very spiritual piece. I don't just wear it for what someone may think of, like, oh, that's the Hitler symbol or
Yep.
something like that. I
Yep.
really going into how they used it, what we believe it meant to them, and
Mm-hmm.
what I can interpret it out of the information that I'm getting. And yeah, this is the one that I choose. But there's it's a large collection of symbols that are like super beautiful, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like geometric symbols that you can make your own meaning out of if you don't have the like concrete like understand or the concrete knowing of what it is, you know,
Yeah.
because this stuff was developed 10,000 years ago, you know
Facts.
what I mean? But
Facts.
yeah, I mean, it's a lot of symbols out there that we could connect ourselves with for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And Miles, bro, you said a big bar too of just knowing that we are already home, and we'll get caught up in going on to trips to Africa, which I don't knock at all. But do you ever see us making trips to ancient Mississippian mounds, ancient Mississippian
Right.
spiritual centers, and things like that? The same way that we'll make sure to go on that trip to ancient Egypt.
Right. Yeah, I don't see that. And I would
Mm.
love to see that. You know,
Yeah,
might need to just I might need to just start that up because man, it's right in our back door. We could really
it
get
is.
there with not as much effort as you need to really get in and take and sit on the plane for however many hours it take to get all the way to Egypt. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? Like we got
right.
all these Egypts in our backyard, you know?
Wow.
So, I mean, that's one thing that we could do too to kind of get back to it and connect the younger generation with this information is start visiting these sites and just see
Mm,
how elaborate they are
yeah.
because some of these sites is like 35 acres big. You
Wow.
know what I mean?
That's
Like
crazy.
grand palace type things where you have, platform mounds, conical mounds, effigy mounds, mounds shaped as birds, all different sorts of things. That's really kind of just like we don't even talk about it here.
It's just sitting there.
Yeah, we don't even connect. When
See,
you talk about Native Americans, you don't even talk about mounds. You know what I'm
that's
saying?
right. You don't.
You're
You
talking
don't.
about teepees. You're not talking about
Yeah.
mounds or
Wow.
any high civilization like that.
Wow.
So that is something for sure that I think that would be powerful,
Yeah. Facts.
to give us that passion and that heritage feeling back,
Yeah.
and having a sense of belonging somewhere, and not feeling like you a refugee in your and
Mm,
a land that you just
come
got
on.
brought to.
I'm an immigrant. That's what some people think of themselves as. Like, I'm just here.
Right,
Like,
right.
it's
A
not my
lot of
land.
people say,
Uh,
I hear that all the time. They say America
yes.
is like a country built by immigrants, and they
Mm,
they are including us in that.
yeah.
You feel like we
Yeah,
was the
I know.
first ones supposed to be.
That's crazy.
Like,
Yes.
come on, man, that's not the
Yes.
case.
Yeah, man, it's not Miles. And from being immersed now when it comes to studying the Mounds and reading about that, all of those things, and then as well of seeing, man, we had things such as well when it comes to the southeastern ceremonial complex of seeing that in Natchez, Mississippi, and seeing all of those things. And Miles, also that picture that again that you had pulled up about the people meeting from different parts of North America. What happened to all of those big spiritual centers? Because these buildings, these temples, they were huge. Where did they go? Where did they go?
That's interesting, man. So, okay, can we pull up one more thing?
Not for sure, for sure.
Okay, check this out. So, pull up Cortez meeting with Montezuma. It should,
Okay.
and when we go to the images, it should populate what I'm trying to show the people. Okay, scroll down.
Actually take that one out so you'll be able to see.
Yeah, it's down. So, okay, right there.
Here?
Uh, go to your right and go to your right again. Perfect.
Here?
Washington State University Live. No, right here to your left.
Right. Got you.
To your left, right there. Boom. Yes. Washington State University Library digital collections. This the resource, okay? So we click on
Oh, I
that.
see the headdress. Wow.
They're in
Wow.
Mexico.
Wow. Hold on, Mouse. Pause real quick, right?
Understand that they're in Mexico.
Mouse, real quick. We got to pause. Reason being is, right? This headdress right here was not shown in any other pictures.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen this headdress, the same one. If y'all have
Mm.
been scrolling on social media, on YouTube, reading books, you see the same headdress when it comes to ancient Mississippians as well, Miles. So I just had to
Yeah,
say that
yeah,
real quick because that's the first thing that had popped
right.
out to me. It was the
Yeah,
headdress.
for sure. Yeah, the feather headdress, the
Yeah.
one that stick up,
Yes.
the war bonnet that they created, the one that the Native
Exactly.
Americans wear,
Wow.
that's not historically accurate.
And short curly hair right here. I see this.
Short or curly hair,
Wow.
you feel me?
I'll let you cook, Mouse. Hey,
You
I just had
know,
to say
so
that because
uh,
that's the first time. That's the first time I've ever seen this image.
mhm,
I'm mind blown. That's crazy. Yeah.
there you go. You and look at what Montezuma is wearing. So Cortez is, adorn like he's, what do you call it? He's giving respect to
Yep.
Montezuma.
Yep.
So if you look at Montezuma, he got this dripped out, robe on,
Yep.
jewelry and everything. You see his crown, he got
Yep.
this point. It's the same
Wow.
as Satriona. The
Yes.
the
Yep.
um Metropolitan Museum, when they had their write up on the Satriona sculpture, they made the
Wow.
connection with Montezuma having this like zenith in the middle, like
Wow.
saying that
Yep.
American kings had this particular type of crown.
Yep.
So now if we just zoom out a little bit,
Let me zoom back in.
this meeting is happening. Let's see where exit out of the image real quick
Mm-hmm.
and go to the description of what they saying the location.
Description. One
So
friend.
the
Remember
meeting of
Cortez.
Cortez and Montezuma in 1519,
Mexico City.
Emperor of Mexico in now Mexico City.
Right back again. It connects.
So let's go back to the image.
Wow. Let me scroll up. Wow.
So that's 1519.
Miles, I've never seen
So
because y'all,
not 1562.
this
Satriona is 1562.
so the year for this,
It's 1519.
wow, 1519 right here. Yep.
Right.
Wow.
So now you look at
Wow.
Mexico City. Look at
Mm-hmm.
the buildings.
Yeah, very advanced. Yes, very advanced. Wow.
This if you just go type Mexico City right now. Like go back to Google real quick.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna do something real quick. If you type
And
in
we're gonna type
Mexico
in Mexico
City,
City. And Miles, real quick for the people, just to see how we're not tripping. You notice how it's different on this picture when it's created by somebody else.
oh
How he
yeah, for
looks,
sure.
the headdress,
Definitely.
everything.
Definitely.
Wow. Mexico
Definitely.
City, 1562, right?
No, we just gonna go to current day Mexico City.
Oh, current day Mexico City. Got you.
Yeah,
I just type in Mexico City. I got
yeah.
you. The buildings, yeah.
Now, whoa, you feel me? That looked like the damn building that was. It looked like the building that was
And they
in
look
the
older now.
drawing,
Yep.
and they look older now. They look weathered. They look like they stood the test of time. They have the same arch doors that the engraving has. You know what I'm saying?
So we
It's
about to go right back to
just
that and compare it.
we're gonna go right back and compare it.
I think it was on
So
the
when you
same
ask
tab.
where are these buildings, it's like it's
They're still
crazy
here. They're still here.
because
We
you
just
can
gotta
see the
look.
points, like the tips of the buildings and everything. It's gonna come out. It's coming out.
I should have said it. What was it? We said what was this
It's
one?
coming up. I think so. Yeah, right there. I mean,
Very interesting.
current
Not too far
current
off.
day, current Mexico City. Look at the
That
buildings.
wow.
Look at the way they got the windows cut and the
And the
doorways cut.
architecture. Yep.
This is the
And look,
same. The
and Miles, I didn't even
architecture
catch
is
this.
exactly the same.
You got royal court up here still. You got headdresses.
The hairdressers everywhere. It's real
Wow.
government going on. You know,
Wow.
so the thing about it is that they went to I believe the Inca first. I
Mm,
think with Carlos Quinto, with
mm,
um Charles V. And I think after that it was Mexico. And then after
wow.
that it was Florida. So they ran into Florida. They ran into like Satriona that were actually like Tuscaloosa first. There
Mm,
was a big war with Tuscaloosa. And then after that is Satriona, is a lot of Atina, it's all this different stuff that's taking place. But not we not diving into this storyline. Like this narrative, we on the horse narrative. Like we not we somewhere off in Spain talking about we was collectively in 1492 fighting against um
mm.
King Ferdinand and
Yep.
his
Isabella. Yeah.
Isabella
Wow.
in Spain. No,
Wow.
14, like no, because this whole population of black people, like real black people over here, and that's Mexico. That's
Yeah.
not even
Miles,
southeast where
bro.
we from.
Bruh. Look at this right here. You could tell by the phenotype, his nose, his lips, his hair, his skin. These
Yeah,
are
for
melanated
sure.
people. Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
And
definitely.
instead in school, it's another image where it's lighter skin and they don't look like this. Wow.
Ooh, I'm about to show you something real quick.
Yeah, I'm about to
Peep
pull it
the
up.
you peep this up right here. You see this kind of
It
like
just
awning that they have?
it
Dang, I
just
ain't that.
froze. You
Pull
just
that
froze. Hold on one
that
second.
image back up real quick. Oh,
Yep,
it went
I
out.
got you.
Okay, okay.
Let me pull you right back up. I got you. Well, I pull it right
Oh,
back up.
okay. I'm
All
about
right,
to
I got it right here.
show something real quick. Okay. Okay, cool. All right. So we see that awning that's like being used to like protect from the sun from whoever is
Mm-hmm.
sitting up under it.
Yep.
Um I'm about to go back into Theodore DeBry's book really quick. Give
And
me
I
one.
think it's a woman right there
I'm just
too,
trying to
Miles.
pull it.
I'm pointing
Is
at
it a
right here.
woman?
I think so. That's right here because it's a headdress that sticks out right here and it's right underneath.
Mm,
I would have to
yeah.
make it
The
clear.
seat may be, I'm trying to see like the actual seat may be, I'm not sure who's sitting in there.
Oh, I
Can't
see what
really
you're saying.
tell.
Yep, has a seat right here.
The
That
seat may be a little bit lower,
yep. I
but
think
let
the
me
seat was
pull this up right
amongst the
here.
Zoomers. Yep, let's check it out. Let me pull it up.
Oh, hold on, let me take this blur off real quick. Uh,
I'm about to maximize you real quick. I got you. Yep, got you.
So they got they
It's the same
this
one.
is yeah, it's kind of like the same type of thing,
Yep.
you know. And then also if we look at I think that they have that same. No, it may be a little bit different. But I was just trying to show the connection with
Hmm.
the different practices and customs, like with that being right there in that image.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we can see we look at the right source material, we gather a totally different perspective on what is
Yeah.
actually going on.
Yes.
So when you look at just like the symbolism of kingship is the same crown, like going from
Mm.
north all the way down to
Yes.
South America. The same type
Yes.
of crown. It is we're using the same thing to represent our royalty. You know what I mean?
Man, that.
And not just to mention that, but you trade in different stones, different paints. You have certain colors that's coming from Mexico that's popping up in Georgia.
Mm.
So and when I talk about like different colors that they making down there, we trading with them, and it's popping up in the southeast out here. So we can piece together the story, you know. we just gotta kind of let the other stuff that we learn go for right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Because it doesn't even allow for this for us to kind of dive into this. You
Mm,
know, if we just thinking that we from somewhere else.
yeah.
So it's like, who are these people?
Mm, yeah, man. This is a really heavy conversation because everybody's uncomfortabilities is basically getting exposed. Like you can say, "Oh, I'm from over here," but once you start seeing images and historical accounts of things such as that, you can't deny that. And Miles, man, that's the first time I've ever even seen a picture like that where it depicts Montezuma, all of his people, as dark melanated people, and not it's the
Right,
same stuff from movies like Apocalyptico, where you see, of course, like
right,
Mexican or like Latin type of people, but this one right here shows you know these people had dark skin, that they had kinky hair, and they look just like me and you. So seeing that,
right.
man, I'm just amazed by that, man. And Miles, overall for people who might feel overwhelmed when it comes to discovering it, just good solid information about ancient Mississippian culture, right? What is that good initial first step to start, just I would say immersing ourselves into this gradually, and not feeling overwhelmed to where I'm not smart like Miles and I don't know how to find all these documents or all these historical accounts? What is a good first step?
A good first step is, well, so like really it's all about chronology, really. And when we stay on the a timeline, it'll
Mm-hmm.
really help us not be so overwhelmed with all these different things that are like happening in
Mm-hmm.
time. Like
Mm-hmm.
you won't, if you stay on a timeline, you'll be able to like not get swamped with all these
Mm-hmm.
different narratives that may
Mm-hmm.
exist far apart from each other, but you
Mm-hmm.
may actually be throwing it together and not understanding history the way that it really was. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
if we stay on the timeline, if we start off in the 1500s
Mm-hmm.
here and just gather all of what we can know about Florida and Virginia first,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because we got to know where they popped up at. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like that'll help us understand this Mississippian narrative a little bit better. I feel like it's hard to understand Mississippian history if you don't understand like just the first colonial history,
Mm-hmm.
like in like the 13 colonies.
Yeah.
Like if we don't know colonial history and we just go to Mississippian history, we'll think of Mississippian history as just being like this ancient, far off history
I see. Yep.
from a
Yep.
group of people that were like now extinct.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But if you look at colonial history, and I'm talking about like when they first set up shop here, the first 13 colonies, that'll that history that was going on at that time is connected to Mississippian history.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? So when Mexico first got here, when the Netherlands first got here, we still had Mississippian customs and
mm,
practices. You know what I'm saying? So knowing about the 13 colonies, that particular history, knowing about when Spain first got here in Florida, that will help us understand the total picture.
mhm.
Because if you don't have that, we're gonna think that we're still from somewhere else. You know
Exactly.
what I mean?
Exactly.
And you
Exactly.
won't be able to totally tie it in. So if we look at where this came from, this is the National Park Service, United States Department of Interior.
Mhm.
Okay. So a government source, archaeology program, timeline, 5000 BC, 1000 BC. This is considered archaic woodland periods. The first mounds in the southeast, used mainly to bury the dead, were probably constructed between 8000 and 1000 BC. By around 800 AD, a distinct way of life was developing in the lower delta. Okay? We have to understand that. All right, now first let me tell you this, because they
Mhm.
say 8,000, they say first constructed between 8,000 and 10,000 BC. I was in New Orleans last December, actually Baton Rouge last December. The University of Louisiana, LSU. So LSU, they have mounds on their campus, right? So they, when I went there, they had gates up around the mounds, and they had these like signs, um, these like printed signs that were posted on the gates. And one of the signs stated that they had recently updated the dating, and it was pushed back.
Wow.
So it was recently believed. I think I emailed it to you, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look for it really quick. I'm gonna just read it to you. So I say all that to say that they updated the LSU mounds, but that means that this timeline has to be updated.
That's right. I see. Yep.
Give me 1 second. I'm about to pull this up. Baton Rouge. I'm just about to read what it said. So it says LSU mounds. Okay, a time for action. The mounds are the oldest known human-made earthworks in the Americas. Recent studies now estimate that the mounds could be up to 11,300 years old, updating previous studies that estimated they were built 6,000 years ago.
Wow.
This is a picture that I took at LSU of the mounds. So they're talking about those specific mounds.
Wow.
They thought that those mounds were built 6,000 years ago at LSU. Now they pushed it back to 11,300 years ago at LSU,
Wow.
meaning we got to push this timeline back. But let's not
Yep.
even do that. Let's just stay here with the timeline that we got, 8,000, first created, 8,000 BC.
Yep.
Okay. That is before anyone else is doing anything
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
on a mass scale. You
It
know,
is.
this is predating ancient Mesopotamia.
Mm. Wow.
And ancient Mesopotamia is where it supposedly starts at.
Yeah.
You know, it's supposed to be, if we look at if we were to search up anyone else's timeline, if we go to like history.com's timeline, they're gonna have Mesopotamia before they have Egypt,
Yep.
you know, before they had the old kingdom Egypt.
Yep.
So if you look at us over here, now check out 5000 BC to 1000 AD, right? So it says the first mounds were probably constructed between 8,000 and 1000 BC. Check this out. If you go all the way to the far right, it says landing in Florida in 1539, and Spanish explorer Hernando de Soto witnessed a culture in decline. Wait, what?
Yeah. I read that part too earlier. Yeah.
That's AD.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
going from 8,000 BC
That's a long time.
all the way to 1539 AD, a culture
That's
in decline.
that's a long time.
That's
Old and
so
tired.
that's old and tired, and we done seen it all, and we done been through it all. Multiple generations that have kept up a culture
With
for
those
so
customs.
many years with those customs, practices, and
Man,
traditions.
Miles, listen, bro, you were cooking because the late Dr. John Henry Clark said by the time Africa and ancient Kemet was getting conquered by the Romans and the Greeks, he already said they were already old and tired, right? So, on that same standpoint, from everything that you just presented, those same sentiments and same factors applies towards this even more because they were old and tired as well. Because this was extremely ancient by the time it's 1670. So you're talking about 5000 BC all the way up to 1670. That's a long time.
8,000 BC all the way to
8000.
16.
Yeah, yeah. Excuse me,
8,000.
8000
If
BC.
yeah, if
Yes,
even if we just use this,
exactly.
like that's 8,000 BC, just not being affected by anything else. Like
Wow.
there's no other culture that's coming in over here and dominating.
Wow.
Like there's this southeastern ceremonial complex is intact
Wow.
from BC to AD. You
Wow.
know what I mean? That's like a trip to think about that. Like
Mm.
that Tuscaloosa and Saturniona and all these different kings that was fighting against the first Spanish or the first French, were practicing the same customs of mound building and religious practices and traditions as those that were 10,000 BC, man.
That's
And then
amazing.
you think and you throw into that the fact that we over here writing in Hebrew, you
Mm,
know, we got these customs that resemble customs out of the Bible. It's a
right.
trip. I had to get the the name of the settler, but the settler spoke on the fact that I really don't want to speak about it without having the name of the settler, but
Hmm.
he spoke about coming to the Americas and seeing these people practice like Jewish customs.
Wow.
And he's like, wow, I never seen this being practiced before. We only read about it in Europe.
Wow.
Like it's not being practiced.
This
And
is
they just
amazing.
reading about it in the Bible.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like this is something that they spread out in village in Europe, and they're like reading about Jewish customs and traditions and King Solomon and all these different people, but nobody's living out that tradition. They come over here to the Americas and we got real Jewish customs. We
Mhm.
burying our dead with certain Jewish customs and
Yeah.
traditions. We got certain sacrifices that are resemble Jewish customs, like old world Jewish customs. So yeah, it's a wild history when you really look at the timeline and you really focus on the timeline, you know? So,
Yeah.
and just comparing it to other timelines,
Man.
like they don't even show us on no other timeline.
No.
They don't show Mississippians on, like, if I like, can we just try it out real quick?
Of
Just
course.
try out like ancient civilization timelines, and we
I
can
got
go
you.
to like the best source,
I got you.
maybe. Yeah. So if we go, let's see, scroll real quick to see just like who may be the best. Uh, but let's see. Come out of there real quick.
Hmm.
Um, we're gonna try to just go to like an official source like
Yeah.
history.com or anybody or read college what they got. We're just trying to see who's on the timeline. Uh,
Yeah, they got Mesopotamia.
Yeah, Gilgamesh,
Yep.
Mesopotamia, Old Kingdom. You'll see
Nothing.
like you'll see like the Maya, push way back like in the 1500 like or early BC or something like that. But you're never gonna see the Mississippians
You're
on here.
right. You're right. It's nowhere to be found.
It's
Look, they
nowhere to
got
be found.
Israel. Yep.
You know,
They got the
they gonna have the
Greeks.
Greeks.
Yep.
They gonna have you know,
But
but
I'm still scrolling, as you see. Let's
yeah,
see.
you
It's gonna be real funny where they try to place it on the historical timeline.
This is common era right here, right?
They don't even have
Uh
it. Yep.
C100, yeah, Persian,
It's not
Persia,
even listed.
Egypt. It's not gonna be listed really nowhere like that.
Wow.
They don't even incorporate that empire of history.
Wow.
Like the Mississippians literally had an empire,
Wow.
whereas real powerful kings and
Of the
queens.
ancient world, Mouse. That's what they consider this, the ancient world, but they don't
The
consider.
ancient world, you see that? And that goes into like the biblical narrative that they want to push. So, we got to fight through all that. We got to know that that is a thing, that there are groups out there that want narratives to exist over others. And if
Yes,
our narrative comes out, then it kind of trumps other narratives and makes our narrative the oldest when they want to be the oldest,
that's it.
or they want to be associated with the oldest. Like they'll have the Olmec on there, but
Right
that's
here.
1200 BC to 400. It tells you like what do you call it? What do you call it when
A synopsis?
sound bite? It's like a
Oh
sound
yeah,
bite
yeah,
of
yep,
history. You know what I'm saying?
yep.
Where they
Quick
just say
little
the Olmecs.
synopsis. Let's see,
Yeah.
Olmec civilization. Just kind of want to see what they have about the Olmec civilization located in ancient Mexico. So even all right, so as you notice, they're not trying to use the actual wide nose.
They're
See what they
never
trying
going
to
to,
go
you
with.
know.
So
That's
it's
an
crazy.
Asian for sure.
Yeah, hey, it's crazy,
And
man.
shout
It's
out to
crazy
my
how they go
Asian
about.
people that was over here, but they for sure used the Asian face for that one, man.
Man, you don't see
But
not one of the. Oh, here we go. Finally, I was about to say they was trying to avoid it, but it's way at the
yeah,
bottom.
yeah.
Religious
But
beliefs as well.
you know, and they'll tell you all this just to take it out of like context.
Yes,
You know, when you
yes,
see this, you should think of this, oh, one group of people, and then you hear different scholars talking about they came from Africa probably, or
yep,
they were the first ones here from Africa. And
yes,
it's like we still not getting the full understanding of what was happening or who we really are. You know what I mean?
yes, yes. But yeah, man, because on this timeline, I'm gonna try to see if they have anything with ancient Mississippians.
And
But
this is worldhistory.org. Yeah,
it is
Mississippian having what is the oldest civilization they got up there?
in the Aztecs, they have the Aztecs as well. Indus Valley.
Okay, the Indus Valley, 7,000. So it's not
And
even
you
we
just
still
had
a
eight
thousand
thousand.
years
It
younger.
said 8,000 on the timeline. Wow, that's
Yeah, you
impressive.
know,
That's
it's still
impressive.
a
Yes.
thousand years younger over there.
Wow.
And 1,000 years ain't a little bit.
No, that's
That's a
not.
lot.
That's
You
not.
know what I'm saying?
Wow.
That is
Yeah,
a
because
lot.
I'll make sure just yeah, Inca
Sumer
Empire, Aztec, Inca Empire, Toltec, and they got northern Peru, the Toltec civilization, and
they trying to
Mesoamerica.
say that, yeah, they trying to show the Native Americans like they just well they are coupling that into Native American history right there.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So they want to say that it's like super like young or not old on a like public like a mass public scale. They talk about it like that,
Wow.
you know. But
Wow.
yeah, it's just shocking to see that you don't have no talks about. I mean, it's not shocking. I understand why. You can't let us have this information.
You can't.
It's really it just it just changes the game once we have this information, you know, and we're able to say, "Oh, this is who we are. This is
Yeah.
who we was, and this is what belonged to us."
Mm.
You know, it's too solidified when we go looking into these different sources and looking at the information in context.
Affirming it too, man, from seeing again all the images, the historical reference points, all of those things. Like it's undeniable. Hey, you can't turn it away, but it's just of finding those proper resources, finding those proper people and scholars, all of that good stuff, man. But Miles, like this
Right.
conversation right here, bro, you dropped a lot of gems. This was very thorough, very informational. And now, man, shout out to Sid as well for pulling up the pictures for us. Cause,
Oh,
bro, I'm just, man, I'm so glad that you were able to actually show these images, man, because now everybody they can see what we were seeing. So I love that.
right, right. And again, like when we were looking at that clip of the brother that was talking about I don't know if he was in a barber shop or where he was speaking, but he was talking about how black people get like this when you tell them something good about themselves or whatever. But he
Yep,
was talking
yep,
about we the Indians,
yep.
you know,
It was
and
that clip, yeah, from the podcast I was talking about. Yep, yep,
right, yeah,
yep,
yeah.
yep.
So this pretty much helps us prove that point. Like for
Mm,
so long, we didn't know how to prove that point because
mm,
all the information that was available was just information given to us talking about the so-called Native American.
right, right.
So, but once we get access to, you know, the Bureau of Ethnology, and we
Mm,
see, oh, y'all got everything about the
wow,
Mississippians in the
wow,
basement, you
wow.
know, now we can defend that point that we've been here all this time.
Mm,
We are the Indian. There is no black Indian. There's no
mm,
such thing as black Indian. You know, we
mm,
are the Indian. We are the Mississippian. You know,
wow.
we are the original Cherokees and Choctaws and Seminoles and Pamunkey Indians or the Natchez. You know, we are all those different people. That's
Mhm,
just what we used to call ourselves when we was connected in our communities.
mhm.
Now we not connected in our communities, you know. So um yeah, that this information just gives black people the fighting power, the ammunition to go out there and really defend the position. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Man,
really no way to discard it. It's no way to even refute it.
Yeah.
It's no way to refute it. It's literally, we could talk about 10,000 BC, or we could talk
Mm.
about 1500 Common Era, medieval times, you know? And yeah, really it's just about every time the conversation come up when anybody's speaking about Black history, this got to be this has to be
Has
something
to.
that comes up.
Has
You know what
to.
I mean? Talking to anybody. If you
Has
talking
to.
about Black history, oh, what you know about the Mississippians? Oh,
Mm.
you don't know nothing about the Mississippi? Oh, then
Mm.
you really not qualified to talk
Mm.
about history in the way that you think you are, or we have allowed you to talk.
Mm.
Because it's not saying that you're not good enough, or
Yeah.
not not like worthy, but it's just like, okay, there was information that you didn't have that completely changes
That's right.
everything in your narrative.
That's right.
So it's like you thought you had an understanding of gravity, but you jumped off the building and you didn't have an understanding. You went to the ground.
Facts.
You got to change up everything. You know what I mean?
Facts.
You can't keep
Man.
riding with Africa is the homeland. You can't keep riding
Mm.
with, oh, we was the Egyptians, or we was the Moors, or you can't ride with that, because we
Mm.
just look more and more incompetent, and show that we just don't study,
Facts.
or we don't have access to the information, or we just emotionally attached to something that we've been taught and we don't want to let it go.
Emotionally
So
attached for sure. That's a big one.
emotionally
Yeah.
attached for sure. It definitely
Yeah.
doesn't allow you to have an open mind.
Yeah. Man, Miles, I'm telling you, bro, you're gonna upset some people. You're gonna also get a lot of support from this, man, because I love this conversation. It was extremely thorough, man. This again, it was much needed, bro. You bodied this, man. 2 hours of straight information, straight
So
knowledge. Very, very informative, bro. So, man, I appreciate you always, bro. I had a great time, man. I love this. Thank you.
yeah, man. It's always cool, man. I love having a conversation with you, man, and
Yes, sir.
chopping up with you about all the different areas to go and research, all the resources out there. Just want to bring it to the people, and just continue the conversation. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
sir. Yeah, man. Speaking on that, continuing this conversation, where can everybody contact you, stay in touch with you, all of that, man?
So on Instagram, holler at me at Wild West LA. I mean Wild West Los Angeles. You can find the information, the historical information on there. As far as oh, let me give me one moment. I want to grab something for
For
y'all.
sure.
Actually, I want to show y'all something real quick. All right, cool. I'm gonna go back into asking that. Maybe we could edit that part out,
Oh,
but
for sure. For
for
sure.
sure. Here we go. All right, so everybody could find me at Wild West Los Angeles on Instagram. Also, I run a business called Natives. So
Mm,
you could check out Natives America on
mm,
Instagram. That's Natives with an S, America. And we mate, let me turn this off right here. So this is my company right here.
sorry.
I make a tobacco alternative product for those that like blunts and
Yeah.
like to smoke, but they want to get away from tobacco and nicotine. I make a product right here called Natives, where we make premium banana leaf cones
Wow.
as an alternative for tobacco.
Wow.
So it allows the blunt smoker to get away from nicotine by using a banana leaf, and we cure it
Mm,
in a way that it looks like tobacco, it feel like tobacco, but you don't have any of the harmful effects from
yeah.
the nicotine in it. So anybody that don't want to smoke on papers or smoke
Mm,
on like palm leaves as an
mm,
alternative to a blunt, this
mm,
banana leaf gives you like more of a blunt experience. You know what I'm saying?
mm.
So this is what we produce, the natives premium
That's
banana
dope.
leaf cones. We put
That's
the
hard.
the chief
Yeah.
right here. So support, we give a little history.
Yes, sir.
Caribbean banana leaf cones picked from
Wow.
the finest sources in American tropics. You know, you
Wow.
could catch on the website right here, Natives America. You can order them straight there. No tobacco, no nicotine.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is what we trying to do. Trying to keep the culture cracking. They come in a box of 10. You
That's
know,
dope.
just like this. So you know, if you frequent smoke shops, if you
Mhm.
frequent dispensaries, you can ask for this product here. They'll contact me, and then
Wow.
I'll try to fill out order form and get them
Wow.
served in that particular location. But you know, just trying to keep the culture cracking. You know, when
Yes,
you
sir.
have your culture, you can make money with your culture.
Come on.
You
I
know what
love
I'm
that.
saying? So natives,
Yes, sir.
banana leaf cones, check this out.
So, Miles, I
Appreciate
gotta ask
everybody.
you
You know.
then, man. One last question. I lied because I was actually thinking about this same thing earlier, and now it just got confirmed. Tobacco. Our ancestors, they were known for smoking tobacco. They had the pipes, all of that. Tobacco became a great resource for all the colonial people who came in and came to take over. They started flipping our tobacco. Till this day, though,
Hmm.
our people still have a close relationship with tobacco without even knowing it,
Yeah.
right? Can you
Yeah.
speak on our synergy with tobacco for not even centuries? We could say for millennia now, because off of that timeline, we're talking about thousands of years. What
Thousands of
was
years.
our connection back then with tobacco?
It so what I know about the connection in the spiritual sense with the Mississippians, with that being like the Cherokees, I speak on
Hmm.
these particular groups so we know who we talking about. The Cherokees, the Chickasaw, Choctaws,
Yeah.
Creeks, everybody, you know, along the coastline going up Virginia into the DMV area, you know, tobacco was a spiritual thing where it allowed you to speak with the ancestors.
Mm,
So they believe that when they smoked on tobacco, the smoke in the air would communicate
mm,
with the ancestors, and it
mhm,
was something that you were supposed to utilize like on a ritual, like
mhm,
you know, basis where you
mhm,
are chiefing with your, you know, with your group, and y'all are
mhm,
talking about something important, or y'all building
mhm.
something. You know, if you look at the different artifacts and relics that they found out of the mounds, a lot of them was pipes.
Wow.
A lot of the like the red horn. If you look at red horn, you know,
Mhm,
the deity,
mhm.
he that was a pipe. That
Wow,
particular structure that was made was meant to be smoked.
wow.
So it's a spiritual sense when they have the, you know, the the religious relic, and then it's smoking, and it has this nicotine which has this mind altering effect to it. You know, it
Mhm,
could calm you down, or it could do, you know, whatever
mhm,
the atmosphere was, you know.
mhm,
But this was a plant that they utilized to communicate with the ancestors, or have like a spiritual like ceremony type situation going on. And it's a powerful plant, you know. It's super
mhm,
addictive, and
mhm,
this is what the Europeans came over here, and they
mm.
saw us just trading this around, you know. This
Wow.
was just like daily life to us, but
Yeah.
when they took a hit, they got
Mm,
addicted,
mm.
and they started shipping that back
Yep,
to Europe and selling it.
yep,
And that's really where that was the first cash crop that like
yep.
put the colonies on a whole nother level. Like we think from
Mm.
movies that it was cotton, but it
No,
wasn't
it was
cotton, it
before the
was
cotton.
our tobacco,
That's right.
you know. And yeah, super powerful plan, and that's something that we really gotta, we all should have some tobacco hanging from
Mm,
some ceiling in our home, or it should
mm,
be on our altar somewhere. You
mm,
know, a piece of dried tobacco. You know what I'm
mm.
saying? Like I just to be connected, just to be connected with my ancestry, I grow it. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
As a pot, for to having a pot. I could show you real quick. Hold on one
Mhm.
second. So we take a look at this here.
Wow.
This is tobacco. You know what I'm saying? And all of our people, if you black, if you from North
Wow.
America, you should grow you some tobacco.
Yeah. Wow.
You know, got the flowers on the top right here.
Wow.
You know,
That's
but this
amazing.
can be
Yeah.
this can be smoked. This is what you dry out. This is what you hang up, and this is what you smoke, and you communicate with your ancestors with. You know what I
Wow.
mean?
Wow. Man, Miles, bro, you killed this, bro. It's a mic drop. You killed this conversation. Man, you covered
For
so
sure,
much.
for sure.
Y'all, again, make sure to check out all the sources that we have pulled up. Tap in with Miles, tap in with the brand native. I'm beyond impressed, man. I'm just happy again that we were able to pull up all of the historical accounts, the documents, the images, all of that good stuff. So, man, this is about to come out great, Miles. I appreciate you, bro.
Cool. For sure, man. For sure, man. Keep me on the line, bro. If you need
You
me to
already know.
debate somebody or whatever. You
Hey,
feel me?
nah, I hear you. Hey,
Holla,
look,
holla
man,
at me.
over
I'm the
here.
hit man.
Hey, over here, you already know, man, what time it is. You already know when I hit you back up. It's just about constantly doing a part two or part three of just sharing more information because,
For
man, you
sure,
can't
yeah.
fight this. So anybody who disagrees, anybody who has input, anybody who agrees as well, make sure to contact Miles, contact us because, yeah, man, we just got to keep this conversation going. But Miles, this was another one, bro. It was another classic session, man.
For sure, man. I appreciate you, big dog. I
Hey, I
appreciate your
appreciate you.
platform and all that.
Likewise, man. Same to you, bro. Same to you, man. I appreciate you for all the information. So you already know when it's posted, I'm gonna share this with you, all the clips, all that good stuff. So hey, man, the future's bright, bro. I appreciate you, brother.
For sure, for sure.
Yes, sir. All right, Miles. Hey, you take it easy, brother, and you be safe. I'm gonna stay in touch.
All right now, you too, big dog.
All right, peace.
Right.